how bad it is right now that we're going to do surgery and you have a 10% chance of surviving the surgery.
So what happened between the time that your behavior was kind of out of control with food, and for that matter, alcohol to some extent?
Mhm.
What happened between then and now that allowed you to modify or change your behavior?
Honestly, it was a self reality check because I realized that I got lucky, hence the name. Um, and it all started from a specific moment with my first heart surgery. Shout out to my wife, Yang. I had back pain, and
Age were you?
I was 39.
So you jumped ahead to 39. There's
Yeah.
a few years between high school and
But all of
39.
this between that time, when you don't know you have an addiction and you're living in denial, you think everything is okay until you're dead, you have an aha moment, or you almost die. And it took me almost dying to wake up to realize that I actually had a problem.
So all those years between, high school years when you were partying
Mm-hmm.
and 39,
Yeah.
you were kind of on the run, so to speak.
Yeah. Pretty much.
And it was, one thing after another, but mostly overeating,
Yeah. Overeating was
alcohol.
yeah, and my doctors were telling me, and definitely the alcohol and just drinking and partying and getting drunk and having wild, crazy nights, which my wife can attest to.
When did you get married?
No, well, we're not technically married.
When did you meet her?
In high school. She's
Well,
been
in
with
high
me the
school.
whole
So
way.
you've been
Yeah.
with her the whole time.
Yeah.
What is
This
she,
May will
nuts?
yes, she's crazy. Obviously, to be with me this long, you have to be. But this May will be 29 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So she really,
How old are you now?
I'm 46. Just turned 46 in January.
So 7 years ago,
Yeah.
you have a heart event,
Yeah.
and that changed everything.
Everything, because I was in the emergency room and they couldn't find anything. They were about to send me home. But my wife forced me to go. And then the black nurse, this is also an important piece to say why representation is so important when you are in hospitals or seeing doctors, because she was able to pick up on something that she said, you're too young for what I think this is. She said, but for black people, there's certain signs for that can be a red herring that I need to check into. So let me give you a CT scan. And thankfully she did. And she said, "Oh my God, you're having aortic dissection. Your vessel is bursting, and she said how bad it is right now that we're going to do surgery, and you have a 10% chance of surviving the surgery." So I went from a concert earlier that day with back pain to now in the surgery that's going to change my life. And I had to think, and all I could hear was different doctors' voices that I had met over the years. One, Dr. 𝗙𝗢𝗪, shout out to you, who, when my blood pressure was around 140 over, I say 80 something, she was warning me then. What are you eating? She was asking me questions, but I was ignoring her because I was like, I'm just eating. Food doesn't do anything,
You're a young guy.
I'm young, I'm healthy, and I was working out even at that time. I could still run a good 5 minute mile. I ran track my whole life. I had great muscle memory. But now here I am in this predicament, my back against the wall, choosing whether I might need a new heart, valves, making all these life decisions and having to be in surgery an hour from that moment and knowing that I could possibly lay down and die. They told me, call your family. I'm looking at my wife and she's freaking out. And I remember calling my business partner at the time, my former business partner, Ty Hunter, and he just said some words to me that forever changed me. He was like, your story's not over. Pick yourself up, get in the right mindset. Basically, you'll be fine. Call me after your surgery's over. And I went into that surgery. And what I told myself before I closed my eyes was, you have to remember you did this. I said, as much as you want to blame people, you're going to say, oh, my wife bought cookies in the house, or this person did this, or my parents abused me, and you're going to say all these things. But you were the one making the decisions as you were walking down this path. You know what I mean? Nobody picked up the cookies and put them in your hand. Nobody picked up the liquor and put it in your hand. Nobody forced you to eat, a whole pan of ribs and a whole pan of stuffing and, 3 servings of mac and cheese and all these things that were starting to, you know, keep your blood pressure through the roof so that you might have a stroke. You know what I mean? You have to now be accountable for everything that you do moving
Now, you
forward.
thought of that before the surgery.
Oh, yes.
And when you got out of the surgery, did you remember those thoughts?
100%.
And do you think the other side of those thoughts is being responsible for what you've done since then?
100%. Because I was already very positive, especially because of my background, how humble it was, watching so many people in my family struggle, but thinking in an ignorant way that that's the only way struggle looks. Thinking that that's what struggle look like and then hindsight being 2020, is like, oh no, struggle is different for everybody. Just like success looks different for us all, struggle is different. What may be easy for me could be a struggle for someone else. And that's when I learned to be more empathetic and be more graceful towards people